Hey, big girl. Hey, big girl. Hey, y'all. This is Cassie with Radharc Ranch. Let's take a walk around the farm. Hi, kids. Hi, girls. Hi, girls. So that black cow is our new heifer. She is very curious about us, super standoffish. This is the first time that she's spent a large amount of time up here at the top of the hill, which is not normal, and she is very cautious. Where Ida is laying down and relaxing, she is up and watching every move that I make. She's not all about it just yet. So that is the cow that, when she was delivered, jumped the fence. And she's still not sure, but her and Ida have really buddied up, completely inseparable. And look, she's like, okay, I'm not sure about this. Ida's like, all right, I'll go with you. Oh, stretch. It's a good day for a nap. This is the first day that we've had really nice weather. We've had warm weather, but not quite this nice. It's 74 degrees. This is the first time that we've had like good t-shirt weather. So I am super excited about that, and we're gonna go take a walk and see what we can find. But Kevin, that is our light Brahma rooster that we believe has fathered all of the baby chicks. Hi, big girl. Hi, Miss. Hi, big girl. Oh, I know. Are you ready to go back out on pasture? The grass is growing. You big girl. So Missy was actually bought last year as a feeder hog. And we decided as she grew up and filled out that we really liked the way that she looked, and we were going to try to breed her for 4-H pigs for our kids. Now, that didn't really work out. She had a piglet, and she ended up laying on him and killing him. So we learned a lot through that experience. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend doing things the way that we did them. Not that we did anything wrong. There are a lot of people that farrow the way that we did. She had a 10 by 15 building, and we left her to do what she wanted. Now, we did give her like a cornered area so that the piglets could get into that cornered area without being with her, or without her being able to get to them. But with her only having one piglet, he didn't want anything to do with it because he was in there by himself. Had he had siblings, that may have been a different story, but that's not really a risk that we're going to be willing to take again. Because he wanted to be with his mom, and completely understandable. I wouldn't want to lay under a heat lamp by myself either. So we are going to keep her and breed her one more time, but we will use the farrowing crate next time and see if we have better luck with that. What are you doing, Mackie Cat? Are you pregging my eggers? Huh? Yeah. I think you're gonna get fixed after this one, little girl. Who's your good girl? Hi, you good kitty. Hi, Steven. Hi, Steven. So let's talk garden. Last year, I had an in-ground 1,200 square foot garden, and it worked perfectly. That's where we put our compost. That's where we put our chicken bedding, pig bedding, all of the good stuff that comes from the animals. That's where we put it all winter long. So, and the chickens come in here and they spread it all out for us and kind of turn it over. So as you can see, this is where I kept my garden last year. And we may still plant some in here this year, but I think we're going to switch some things around a little bit, and I'm going to show you my idea, and we'll see if we can kind of pan it out. So my game plan for this year is to have the garden a little bit closer to the house, and I want to beautify it a bit because when things are pretty, I am more apt to want to be in them. And I was in my garden a good bit last year, but not as much as what I would want to be. So that being said, I would like to move it a little bit closer to the house where the ground is more flat. And I want to do a couple raised beds and some trellises for noodle beans and just a couple different things that I'm going to try this year. So what I think we're going to do is start it over here by these steps, and we're going to come out just a bit, and then it'll go clear across about over to that tree. And go down that way. Go down to where the compost bin is and about to where the garden started last year. Now this is still on a touch of a slope this way, but I think what we'll do is run raised beds this way, and we won't have to deal with the slope pulling everything down. We can level everything out, and then about in the middle over here, I can put like a table and chairs that we can come down off the deck, sit in the garden, and have lunch or dinner with the view in front of us. The sun rises over there and sets behind us. So the garden will still have full sun all day until evening, where the house will block the sun, because this is pretty close to the house. I mean, you can see how close these steps are. And then we'll probably go out about 10 foot from the steps. So the garden will still get blocked a little bit by the house and be shaded a little bit in the evening, but not enough that I'm worried about. So it'll still get first morning sun all the way until evening, and then it'll be a nice cool evening for us to be able to sit in a patio, you know, table and chairs, kind of look out over all of our hard work. And I think that'll be a lot more inviting. We'll be more apt to come down into it and mess around with it, weed it, stuff like that. And that's another thing. Last year, that 1,200 square foot bed had to be entirely weeded. And I think that's why we're moving more towards the raised beds, because you can put more things in an area where you don't have to spread them out as much. You can put more in an area, and there's less weeding. You don't have to weed the aisleways. You know, when I had everything in the ground, you have to kind of weed the aisleways so you know what's what to begin with. You till the whole thing, turn everything over. I really just think that the raised beds is going to be a lot more beneficial for us than the in-ground garden. Now, again, we probably will still do some in-ground gardening, just not everything. So we're going to kind of pull the things out and kind of do it like a kitchen garden up here, and then extend some other things down into the in-ground garden, like our watermelon, the things that are going to vine out, your watermelon, your cantaloupe, your pumpkins, things like that. So that'll be something different for us. Lincoln's going to work on getting those built, and then hopefully we can get that set up for this year. We're not going to move too fast with this. Eventually, I would love to have the entire garden as raised beds. But right now, we're going to start small. We're going to do a couple beds and a couple trellises and see how we like it, and then move on for next year and, you know, go and grow from there. Careful, sis.
No.
Come on, girls. Evie, Nora, come on. Mariah brought the kids out to play. Ooh, jungle gym. So that's our next step, is kind of trying to figure out where we're going to put the goats. We've got the pig training pen that we call the Hog Mahal. And then Missy's in the old coop run that will now be, we think, Missy's farrowing pen. But we're talking about putting the chickens in Missy's pen, putting the goats in the chicken coop, and building a new pen for Missy. or building a new pen for the goats. So we have this area kind of over here by the fire pit that, like, this is our junkyard. This is where we keep our poles that we use for building, our wood for building, and kind of our random parts of fencing that we use for building, you know, our structures and fencing and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure out how we want to get it set up. Eventually we would like to put a barn right here, but we want to build them a permanent fence that we're not going to have to move later, but that we can also use as like a fenced in area to put the barn up against. That way, if we do have animals in the barn or babies that we farrow or kid in the barn, we can put them out in that play area and they have an area to go outside. Hi, honey. Hi. What's it doing? Say hello. So we have a lot of things that we need to get figured out in the very near future. Our first priority is trying to find a place for the goats to go outside, and also getting a couple of the raised garden beds built so that we can get stuff put in the ground. Now, we'd like to have the goats out of the garage before the garden starts. So I have all my plants started inside for the garden, and all of that stuff is kind of ready to go in the garden when it comes about. But our last frost isn't until April 29th. So the garden's not going to go in until May. So April is likely going to be our time to focus on finding a place for the goats, getting their permanent fence built and getting them outside. And then the next step will be the garden beds, getting those amended and putting, you know, all of the dirt and good stuff inside those so that we can be ready to plant in May. All the while going to baseball and piano and riding lessons and all of that good stuff. Who you got, sis?
I got Tucker, the boy.
Tucker. And back there is Twit. So we have Twit and Tucker.
She runs around.
And Neve and Nora. Neve is the light colored one and Nora has the moon spots. Oh.
Goaty girl.
Where's my goaty girl? You're beautiful. I know. So if you missed my previous video about the goats, these two were not really planned. Neve and Nora, the Nubians, we intentionally purchased for milking. We are bottle feeding them. We're going to raise them up, breed them, and milk them. These little guys, I clean a friend of mine's barn on Sundays, and she has these little Nigerians. And Tucker ended up getting stuck between two boards in her barn, essentially, and was completely emaciated. We have no idea how long he was there. He was stuck with his head. Are you hungry, little guy? With his head back to his butt, basically, and had been laying there for a good while. So when I got him, he was a week old, and Twit was a day old. Her mom completely rejected her. First time mom, and she had been at least 24 hours old whenever I got her and hadn't been fed. So when I got them home, she got colostrum replacer, he got milk replacer, and we got them all warm and fed, and we've had them for a little over a week now, about a week and a half, and they're completely fine. So they will actually go next week to get disbudded, which is getting their horns burnt so that they don't grow. The only reason that we do that is because Lincoln and I both work full time, and we intend to use the squared panels or woven wire fence for their area, and goats tend to put their heads through there. And if they put their heads through there and their horns grow backwards and they cannot pull their heads out, we don't want them to be stuck in that situation for the entire day. If we're at work and don't know that something like that is going on, we just don't want them to be able to get stuck and not be able to get out. So we are disbudding them, and they won't be able to, they shouldn't be able to grow horns. The vet does say that it is possible for their horns to grow back, but it is very unlikely. Uh-oh.
And this is the girl.
Yeah, that's Twit. Neve just about met one of the cats and Mac wasn't having it. She's like, I don't think so. We're not friends. So they will go to get disbudded, and then poor Tucker will get banded not long after that, because we don't want him to be able to breed his half-sister. I know they say that you can interbreed goats so many times and it'd be okay, but that's just not really something that I'm interested in. So I think that's all for today. I just kind of wanted to give everybody an update on what we were focusing on right now. The boys are at baseball, so we are going to let these goats play outside for a little bit and then go inside and make some dinner and get ready for the next day. So, thanks for learning with us. We'll see you next time.